Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make over a few items in more of a shabby chic style. And this picture I found at a thrift store, or not at a thrift store, I actually got it at an estate sale. And someone had did some kind of weird paint finish on it and it just wasn't attractive, so I'm going to paint this a solid color. And I've decided here that I want to do this one in the color sea glass because I felt like that color would look good on this. And there's a picture that I also thrifted that I have to make a minor change to. But it has that color in it. So I'm doing just this little small vignette. And this will go with that picture. I'm giving this a coat or a cleaning with some alcohol first because alcohol is great for cleaning any residue off glassware that might keep your paint from sticking well. So I'm just giving it a coat and I'm cleaning it inside and out with this because I'm going to have to paint the inside of this also. They painted that finish on the inside. So this is already not a picture that you could put water in or anything, so it's just for decorative purposes only to put some faux flowers in. So just because I want it to look good, I'm going to have to paint that inside also. And now because this glass wasn't a slick glass at all and it had already been painted, I'm not going to have to do any kind of a clear coat on it first. I'm just going to paint that chalk paint directly onto the picture. So like I said, I'm having to paint down inside this, and I give this 2 coats. I probably could have gotten away with one, but I just, for good measure, went ahead and did 2 coats. But I'll let the buyer know that this can't really be washed, especially in the dishwasher. I usually just let them know that they have to hand wash them because they have been painted. And this paint goes on really well because, like I said, it doesn't have a slick finish. It was the kind of glass anyway that didn't have a slick finish. And then once they put this paint on here, then it's really sticking well. And I love all this raised design, and you may be one who likes it painted out like they have it here. But I just thought a solid color on this would give that white wax a chance to really settle in and bring out that design. So my plan here is just to do a couple of coats of this sea glass, and then once it dries, I'll go over it with some white wax. And I'm already loving here how this sea glass is changing this look altogether. I think it just has so much nicer look than when you paint things out. I guess it was a time for painting out those flowers and stuff, but I don't feel like it's now. I feel like things just go better if they're just solid. Now, don't bother painting this bottom. It wasn't painted the first time that it was painted, and I felt like it went well with that anyway. I just kind of kept it neat on the bottom and left that the natural pottery color. Or I guess this is a ceramic picture. But like I said, once this dried well, then I did take this outside and spray a clear coat on it first because I wanted to make sure that I didn't remove any of that paint. I don't think it would have because it stuck so well, and I also gave it 2 coats. But just to be on the safe side, I took it outside and just sprayed some Rust-Oleum clear matte finish on it. And now that that's dry, now I'm doing my white wax on this. Now I added a little bit of buttercream to my white wax because I didn't want it to be really white. And the reason I didn't is because my other items have some of the buttercream in them. So I kind of wanted it to go together with that. So this still has somewhat of a white look, but it's not a real cool white color. I wanted to kind of warm it up a little bit. And if you haven't used white wax, when there is raised design like this, it really brings that out because that white settles down into that detail, and then you wipe it off and most of it comes off the raised area and the flat areas, but it really settles into that detail and makes it pop. Some people spray a clear coat on after the white wax. Even when I don't clear coat before, I usually don't because it just, to me, it feels like it seals it. And I just don't see the point in the extra step. But some people do, and I'm sure that that's being on the safer side. I think that really improved this picture. Now the next item that we're going to be working on is a picture, not a picture, but a picture. And that was what inspired this color. So here is the picture, and I paid, it would have been $4.99, but the yellow stickers at Goodwill were half off, so I paid $2.50 plus tax. So say I have $3 in this. And I love the look of the picture in it, and the print rather, and the lace around the outside. The only thing that I feel like needs work is that frame. So all that I'm going to do on that, I don't feel like it needs more of that sea glass color, but I do think the frame doesn't need to be gold. So I'm just using the color buttercream here, and I'm not going to bother to tape this off because it's so easy to just take a razor blade and scrape that off when you're done. So I'm just going to give this 2 coats of the color buttercream, and then I'll use some clear wax on it to seal it, and then that's all that this is going to need. And I can take a $3 picture and turn it into probably about $14 to $18 is what I'll put on this. I love it when I can buy an item that I don't have to do much at all with, and it's already sellable. I guess it's even better when it's already ready to go out, but sometimes I like to do a little something anyway. So to me, this is a good piece to flip. And I think the cottage core look and shabby chic look have really made a comeback. So I was excited to get this picture. And I think that simple little paint job really made all the difference in this picture. And now the next item that I'm going to be doing is a little lamp. And I thrifted this little lamp, and I think I paid $4.99 for it. And I think it was just beautiful. And this lamp shade is really cute, but it is, I guess you would call that dry rotted, but it crumbled around the bottom, that scalloped bottom. There was some crumbling, so I'm just going to tear all that off. Now, my first plan was to paint this base, but I just really love that old look of the brass or whatever this is, and decided not to paint it. So I'm just going to be redoing this shade, and then I just go over that bottom with, I've decided I'm just going to go over that base with a little white wax, and then if I don't like it, I can just kind of scrub it off when I'm finished. And that's actually what I'm probably going to do. You can look at it when it's finished and see what you think, but I think I prefer it without the white wax on it. So I'll show you when I get that finished and let me know what you think, but I think I made a mistake by waxing that one. But what I've decided to do to this shade, and I'm just kind of sticking it on the lamp here so that I have something to work from, but I thrifted all this ribbon maybe a year or so ago, and I don't think I'll ever run out of this ribbon. And I think I bought all of it for $4 at a Goodwill, and I was just amazed at the price that it was. And generally, ribbon like this would be very expensive. So, like I said, I love this. I love this color, and I'll have plenty for probably forever. So now I'm just cutting some lengths for this lamp, and so I just kind of cut a bunch of them, and I'm going to start tying them on this shade from the top to the bottom. And but because this is a thicker ribbon or a wider ribbon, I am going to cut it down in half. So like I said, it's too thick, and if you try to tie it on there, I don't feel like it would look good being this thick. So I'm folding it here so it's easier for me to cut it down the middle, and then just cutting each of these down the middle. And once I get all those cut, then I'm taking some tea towel that I've coffee stained, and I do that by just taking some coffee and dipping my tea towel in, wringing it out, and then hanging it to dry. So you can, depending on how dark you want your color, you can use a stronger coffee if you want. You could also, I use brewed coffee because I just use leftover coffee, but you could use instant coffee also. And I like to tear this tea towel because it just gives it more of a wispy look. And there's my daughter popping her head in. But I just tie these on the top and the bottom, and I'm just alternating. So I'll do one of the pink ribbon and then one of the tea towel. And right now I'm just kind of tying that pink ribbon all around, and then trying to decide how I want to lay it out actually. But I end up doing every other one, and I do probably about 4 on each of these little sections. I love this little lamp shade. I think it's such a cute little lamp shade, and I almost left it without anything on it, but that limits your light bulb, so I just went ahead and did this on it instead. So like I said, I just keep tying these on, just tying on the top and the bottom, and I'll go back later and trim those off the length that I want them, but I'm just tying them all around this lampshade until I feel like it's full enough. And now I'm going to add some little rosettes to it just to kind of add a little more to this. And I've made these on a few videos. One, I've really gone into detail, but I think I can show you close enough here where you can get it here. If you can't, I can always link that other video in the description. So you just tie a knot on the end of any little strip of fabric, and I just tear my fabric when it's fabric that can be torn. And you just put a little dab of glue, and you twist your fabric, alternating which way you twist it rather. You twist it maybe a couple times backwards and then a couple times forward until you get the size rosette that you want, and then you just clip that off, and that's as simple as it is. And I'll let you see a little bit more here. You tie that knot in the center, put your glue, and you're just wrapping this twisted strip of fabric around until you get the size that you want. And like I said, you're just twisting it one way and then twisting it another, because that just kind of adds some more dimension. These roses are going to be so tiny that you don't have to make them. You don't have to use much fabric at all, because we don't want to make them big. And now I'm going to show you a little easier way. I just take a little piece of cardboard, or you could use a stiffer cloth, and you can glue that little knot just to the center of that piece of cardboard or cloth. And that just kind of gives you a little base to work on. So you just wrap it. Now you want your circle about the size that you want your rosette to be, or larger, because you can always trim that off. But here I'm just kind of making it the size that I want my little rosette. And then you just twist and glue that to the cardboard or to the piece of cloth that you start with. And that makes it a little bit easier if you're new to making these. And then I'll show you how to make a larger one, so that maybe this will be a little bit easier for you to see. So excuse that little piece of cardboard. I just cut up a little paper plate that I put my paint on when it dried, and just used that because that was handy. So you just glue that knot to the center. Sorry, I'm out of frame here. I'll get back in frame, I think. So you just glue that knot in the center there, and then you're twisting that strip of fabric and wrapping it around, just adding a little dot of glue here and there. And with this one, because I've cut this larger, then you could just make it as large as you want and just cut your excess off. So I'm just making a little bit larger one here just to make it more clear how to do this. This is not one I'm going to be putting on the lamp, but you just keep gluing it until you're happy with the size, and then you cut that end off and secure it with glue, and then cut your excess cardboard off, or cloth, whichever you choose. But these little flowers are very easy to make and don't take long at all. And I think once you start making them, you'll use them to embellish lots of items. So now I'm just gluing these to the end, to the top of each of these. So I'm putting these tea towel rosettes on the top of the tea towel strand. And I feel like that's enough, and I don't have to do all of them. So the pink ones, most of those don't get anything on them. Now I do go back and make just a small amount of the rosettes from this pink lace. And then I just add them randomly on the bottom of some of the pink strands. And now I'm just trimming off my excess. I could have left them longer and kind of dangly, but I didn't want them to be a fire hazard. And this is such a small lamp, I didn't want to hide too much of the base. And now here I am making the mistake. I'm putting that white wax on here. And you can let me know what you think, but I think it looked better before I did this. So I did regret that. But I think the lamp turned out really cute. Like I said, I think it would have looked better. I did that white wax just to kind of bring the lighter down. But I just like the old look before I did that. And now I'm doing just one pumpkin craft. And I've done these before on here, but this one I'm going to do a little differently. I'm going to paint this one. I've already taken the stem out of it. This is just a Dollar Tree pumpkin. This is the medium-sized one and not the small one. But I'm painting one coat of the color buttercream on this. And the only reason I'm doing that, because I am going to be covering this, is because I didn't want that orange showing through my fabric. So I give this one coat of the color buttercream and then let that dry. And once that's dry, then I'm cutting off. This is just a leg warmer. So I'm cutting that in half because I think I can get 2 pumpkins out of this. And then all that I'm going to do is stretch this over that pumpkin and tuck it in the top and glue it to the bottom. Now put this cuff on the top because I can stuff that down in there and hide it. And now I'm just taking some hot glue and I'm pulling that on the bottom just a little at a time all the way around it until I get that glued and covered well on the bottom. And because this leg warmer is stretchy, then it easily covers. Like I said, I just stretch it a little at a time all the way around until I get it covered neatly. So I get that covered well, and then my next step is inspired by one of my viewers. She suggested that she said she had seen them done with using a piece of old silverware as the stem. So that's what I'm going to be using as the stem on this. And I'm just taking a small butter knife here, and then I just stick that down in there, and that makes my stem. And because this is going to be kind of loose, then I'll do some other embellishment around the top to kind of strengthen that more. So I've taken some lace here, and this is more of a scalloped lace, and I'm just kind of gathering that around the top and gluing it. So I'm gathering each time that I put a dot of glue, I gather it a little bit more so that I have more of a fluffy ribbon on the top. I feel like when you use this dressy of a stem, you need something to embellish it with and make it look more shabby chic, because obviously it's not going to look like a real pumpkin. So once I get this lace on here and I'm happy with the way it looks, I got some ribbon that is that I had thrifted that is vintage looking and the right color of blue, and I'm just gluing. I think I do like maybe 6 pieces down the sides of this pumpkin. So I just glue it underneath that lace on the top and down each side to the middle, and then up the other side. And so I do this 3 times, I think, and that spaces it out the right amount. And then after I get this all glued on, then all I need to do is tie some little strips of ribbon and fabric around the top that coordinate. And so I just kind of tie that around the top and glue a few buttons on it, and then this little pumpkin is finished. And these little pumpkins are fun to make and decorate different ways, but I think Shabby Chic is a really fun way to decorate them. And these other little pumpkins here in the front, I've just decoupaged on some glass pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. So I just took those that I had bought last year and painted them, and then decoupaged something over the top. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.